Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Rams Brothers, the pod. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined by the other host of this show, Nick. And Nick, there's a lot going on right now. COVID, we got the game preview, got the Seahawks coming up. How are you?
Good. I'm glad that the game was pushed to Tuesday for the sake of the Rams. Can't be fun for all that COVID outbreak. But Odell just tested negative, so that's a good sign. I'm sure there will be a lot more people able to play.
Yeah, well, it's tricky, right? Because they've had virtual practices over the last couple of days. They haven't been able to be in the facility. The Seahawks have been practicing meanwhile. So if you want to argue an advantage in one direction or the other, I mean, the Rams haven't had the same amount of time that the Seahawks have had to practice.
Right.
And plus they have three times the amount of people on the COVID list at this point. So I think the playing fields are even. You have to be able to kind of move the game to a time where people come off the COVID list, and they change the rules a little bit to be able to do that. So,
well, I mean, not even. They didn't really change the rules because they said that originally, like, if your team isn't available, it's a forfeit, right? Yeah. But they said in the beginning that if there is a way we can reschedule these games, we will. And they found a way because the NFL, I mean, first of all, it's a business. It wants to make the money from those games before anything else. Like, sure. Forfeiting games is like the last possible thing that they would do as a business. And then they also want to make it an even fight for both of these teams. It's playoff time. These games have big implications. And it also just the only fans I've really seen upset about it are Eagles fans because they're playing the football team and the Eagles are healthy and the football team's not, and Seahawks fans because of the exact same reason. So, I don't really think people are upset that these games are being played unless they just want an easy road into the playoffs, which is just grow up.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be sitting there expecting a forfeit and then be excited about the forfeit just to be able to get the easy win over the better team. Right. And there's always going to be a stipulation in a contract with the NFL where if there's a rule to forfeit, there's going to be some other way to be able to bend that rule, get out of it, and allow the teams to play. Right. So I think that's kind of the situation that they're in right now. You talked about previously the NFL did not plan to move any of these games because of coronavirus outbreaks. But if they could be in play, that was the definition, how they defined it. Forfeits could be in play earlier on this season is how Commissioner Goodell defined it. So when you put that into play, you obviously know that if there is another variant or if there's some kind of, who knows what can happen with COVID right now. But, it allows you to change the way that the league is thinking. They change the rules, and severe outbreaks across the league have happened entering week 15 of the season, right? So all stuff that you have to be able to monitor, right? But Tuesday night, December 21st, 4 p.m. Pacific time, with the COVID outbreak reaching 25 people total players on the COVID list for the Rams. It's kind of near impossible to monitor right now, but the status is kind of what I wanted to talk about of the actual rule change. So the league announced a change on how vaccinated players and staff can return to the team before a 10-day isolation period is up. That was the previous rule. 2 negative tests taken 24 hours apart was the standard in such cases, but obviously the new protocol allows for asymptomatic individuals to take 2 PCR tests, 2 MESA tests, or 1 PCR and 1 MESA test concurrently to return to work if they are negative. So this is not fun. Sitting here and talking through this stuff is the last thing that you and I want to be doing, but it's affecting the game. It's potentially affecting the spread, the outcome, the logistics, the fans, everything in between. So everything outside of the money. Just a weird situation to be in. It's almost as interesting as how the rules were set previously to the 2020 season, but now they're kind of reverting back to everything that they were doing previously, right? There's some rules related to, keeping teams out of the facility and doing things virtual and not having close contact when they're having lunch and stuff. It's just strange. And I don't know, what's your take on all this stuff? I mean, how do you even fight back from it?
I mean, you just, you do what you can. There's only so much we can do. I think as a nation, we did a good job stopping this inevitable, variant and the ones coming forward and all that. All that aside, it's just the thing that pissed me off most was Pete Carroll just being like, our city has actually been doing a good job, and there isn't, we're not having an outbreak, so I don't think we should be punished for that. And it's like, shut up. It's freaking Los Angeles. There's way more people here. It's just like you're just trying to do anything he can to squeak out a win, which is just so conniving and horrible when, it's literally like something that nobody can have control over. And it's not like these players aren't vaccinated, personal choice this, personal choice that. These guys want to get out there and play. Like,
yeah, sure.
Just happy that I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I feel like we're spending too much time talking about a virus, and I really just want to talk about the Seahawks, who are still very much, in this wild card race and are going to want to beat a Rams team because they always do. Even though Sean McVay's kind of had his thumb over Pete Carroll's head since his entirety in LA, but
you talked about
what's their record? Do you know the all-time record between those two?
I know within the last 10 games they're 7-3. So going back, I don't know, 4 seasons, I think they beat them. I think they split in McVay's first season. I could be wrong there, but I don't know. Going back to Pete Carroll though for a second, like I don't, as much as you don't want to talk about COVID, the stance that he's taking is very much of, we're following all the protocols. We followed all the other rules. There's a couple of other teams that may not be following the rules and you're not closely monitoring them enough. So we're going to try to take advantage and try and, lean in that direction and try and steal a win. So, if that's the case, I understand the guy trying to keep his job, but right now they have a 2.1% chance of making the playoffs, according to Austin Mack of The Athletic. So
yeah, but they're still, if they went out, they're not in, like one game at a time. You're not going to tell me, the Los Angeles Lokies in our fantasy league were 1% playoff chances forever, and they almost squeaked in there at the very end.
Yeah, but they didn't.
They didn't.
That's that one.
But they fought. My point is, they fought till the very last regular season game.
Seahawks will fight. Yeah, there's a lot of. We'll talk about the reasons why they will fight in this game. But if they want to get rolling and they want to steal one, this is a game that you have an opportunity to do so. You want to keep your job. You want to keep the running game going strong. You want to keep Russell Wilson healthy. All of that. You want to keep him in Seattle, right? All of those things that are happening right now with Seattle, you want to make sure you're kind of staying on top of if you're Pete Carroll. But I don't know. The Seahawks, they're coming off of consecutive wins. They most recently beat the Texans, put up 33 points, and moved to 5-8. And Russell Wilson looks like he's kind of back. He's back in his regular form, right? Tyler Lockett, Gerald Everett touchdowns against Houston. Rashad Penny was the guy who truly dominated that game. Granted, it's Houston, but Penny carried the ball 16 times for 137 yards to go with his 2 touchdowns on the ground. They haven't had a ton of consistency throughout the year with their run game. They've lacked consistency. When you lose Chris Carson, right? Chris Carson had a season-ending neck injury. They've only had 2 games really where they've ran the ball for over 100 yards. The first was the Steelers in week 6, which feels like decades ago at this point, led by Alex Collins. He had a 101-yard day on the ground. And then, going back to last week, it's Rashad Penny. So you don't know if this is kind of a one-time deal, right? It's kind of a fluke because it's the Texans.
Yeah. Texans have 2 wins on the entire year. One of them is the Jags. The other is in the division. And if you like the score of last week, 33-13 Seahawks, does not indicate the kind of game it was. It like 10 Seahawks scored 10 in the first, Houston scores 7, then 6-6, and then Seattle kind of pulls away with the field goal in the third. But like the Texans are literally in that game the entire time. It's a team that requires you to put it away because they're going to give you opportunities to like get turnovers and like, get 3 and outs and whatnot. Yep. So, the Rams were in their own way last time they played them. Stafford throws an end zone interception. Took them like until the second quarter to get any points on the board. So as long as that doesn't happen again, I think they can really, bulldozer over a team. And especially after a Cardinals win, you get 2 divisional opponents in a row. Boom, boom. You got to feel great. And then you know what? We kind of said this jokingly. But you can lose one to Minnesota or Baltimore after that.
Yeah, sure.
And those are both tough opponents, but like you can kind of give one of those games if you have to. I mean, obviously you don't have to, but like if it happens, it's not the end of the world. If you beat Seattle after beating Arizona.
Yeah, within the last 6, you have to win at least 4, right? So if you're able to put together 4 wins, they've already put together 2, Jacksonville and Arizona. You beat Seattle.
Yeah, Jacksonville.
You beat Seattle. That's what ideally you'd want to win at least 5 of 6. But
I also think that was the hardest one the one that you just won was the hardest one, and it was with the most eyes. So you kind of were able to, like, you know, take down a juggernaut in their
you're
home
missing
stadium.
Rob Havenstein, you're missing Jalen Ramsey and Tyler Higbee. Like, all of those things played into the hand of Arizona, and we still overcame it. But I don't know where I feel like the Rams are going to shine in this game. We've talked about, this is actually something that we're kind of circling back to at this point. But the Rams have had this season one of the best pass blocking units in the league, led by Andrew Whitworth and Rob Havenstein. They're both in the top 10 in terms of pass block win rate, and the whole offensive line currently ranks second in ESPN's pass rush win rate and first in Pro Football Focus's team pass protection grades. So when it comes to grading, they're on top of everything.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Whitworth and Rob Havenstein, talk about two guys that just love Golden Road Brewery. Golden Road Brewery is our official beer partner. They obviously produce the incredible Whose House, Rams House Blonde Ale. So good. They're both big fans. And yeah, I mean, it's just cool just to have a legacy guy on your team. You know, like Whitworth's out there, like trying to get like a ring finally. So it would be great if he did it with us. And now there's talks that he may even come back one more year. He's contracted one more year. Wayne Gretzky told him, make him proud to take the jersey off of, like, pull it off of you. He's getting advice from Matt Groening, never end the Simpsons. So yeah.
Was that real advice that happened?
The Gretzky one was.
Oh, not the Matt Groening. I thought that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
If that was the case. Just keep going. Oh, I could have said the same thing to Tom
A
Brady.
golf round with me, Andrew Whitworth, Wayne Gretzky, and Matt Groening.
Yeah, we'll be raffling the award to play with that foursome at the end of this episode. So make sure you stay tuned, and we'll send you a link. No, but wait till you see how I mix it in the next ad read.
If you open a Golden Road Brewery and inside the beer is blue.
But again, I wanted to talk about too how we're kind of circling back to this too with Von Miller. We talked about two premier offensive tackles. When we were looking at other teams throughout the league, the Cardinals, the Buccaneers. I'm trying to think who else was up there. I think the Colts were up there at one point. I know the Saints. With some premier offensive tackle talent, right? So, I mean, you talk about Andrew Whitworth and Rob Havenstein, but when you brought in Von Miller, we were trying to evaluate, of which teams is Von Miller going to be able to be the most effective against, potentially in the playoffs? Is there a weak tackle on one side? Which teams have two premier offensive tackles, two premier skyscrapers on the right and left-hand side is what everybody's looking for. And to be able to kind of beat the best team in the conference without one of those guys puts you in a really good spot. So I'm confident in that regard. Another way is the Seahawks can't get pressure. Only the Bears, the Lions, the Falcons have worse pressure rate than the Seahawks right now. They're 29th in sacks, and they're 23rd in quarterback hits. Edge rusher Darrell Taylor leads Seattle with 6 sacks right now, and that ranks 29th in the entire league for edge rushers. Their other edge rusher, Rasheem Green, is a kid that Pete Carroll loved from USC, and he's not that good. He has 3 sacks on the entire year and 20 tackles. But when you move inside, that's when you're going to be able to evaluate the Seahawks in terms of talent, right? It's not their edge rushers. It's their talent on their interior side of the ball. With the defense, right? Al Woods is the best run stopper in the game, one of the best run stoppers in the game. And he's their best player up front on both sides of the ball, arguably. And he's a guy that you have to consistently be able to double him and run away from him. And then you have Poona Ford, who's also able to defend against the run. I foresee Seattle just trying to kind of sit back, try to get pressure with 4 rushers, the same way the Tennessee did. And, kind of do the same thing in that regard. Just rush 4, be able to kind of stop the run, keep linebackers in the box, and try and win the game in that regard. So that's going to be interesting to monitor.
Yeah, and as we all know, me, the biggest Matthew Stafford fan, he currently owns the highest passer rating when blitzed in the NFC West at 139.
That's true. Right. So obviously not at a high blitz rate. You think they're going to stay conventional. You think they're going to sit in the 4-3 with the 2, the 2 high shell. Something
exactly. Like they're probably not, they're going to play them back and play the deep ball and, because Pete Carroll usually, like, these games are always dogfights. I don't remember the last time they beat him by like double scores had to have been back in the Todd Gurley day where they just smoked them like 42-7. But yeah, I mean, these games are always going to be scrappy. So
yeah, no.
What was the? You know what? Let me look up the score. last time we played them this season? Because I don't remember. I know it was close, but I don't know if the score indicated it. 26-17 was the
26-17. I was going to say 24-17.
Yeah. And then when they beat him in the playoffs last year, it was 30-20.
I just remember Geno Smith had a chance to go down and tie the game in the last possession of that game.
Yeah, he did.
You don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
But to ensure that, we prepared how to approach this defense, right? Who to go at, how to line Cooper Kupp up, kind of the same way that you did in the last game. You put him in the left or right slot. You put him in a tight end slot. That's going to force outside linebackers like Jordan Brooks or Cody Barton or backup safety Ryan Neal, who's in for Jamal Adams, who's injured, to try and have to cover him.
Oh, he's injured. It's not COVID. I thought he was out on COVID.
I think he is injured. I think he's hurt and out for the year.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily like, it's like, oh, they don't have Jamal Adams.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp destroys him.
Yeah.
And if you send Jamal Adams on the blitz, that's probably going to just increase that passer rating for Matthew Stafford. So,
I mean, all of a sudden, I feel like we have a team that, even if they like get us early, and it's like 7-0 on a punt return, I feel like we kind of like would be able to like come back and put up a really good drive on the first drive to beat their defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see the same thing. I mean, if you can get started early, we talk about this almost every single week, but if you can get started early with motioning players and moving players to the line of scrimmage, that's going to eventually and inevitably allow you to put players in favorable positions throughout this game and get you the matchups that you're looking for throughout this game. So, and the argument in favor of McVay and the Rams is you don't have to necessarily start off fast if you can figure out the matchups throughout the game and make adjustments. But when these adjustments happen and you can have DJ Reed attempting to cover Odell Beckham Jr., right, in wide open space, as well as Sidney Jones attempting to cover Van Jefferson down the field, and then Ryan Neal having to shadow over for safety help, right? That's eventually when you can take your shot. You run play action, you roll Stafford out, and you run the same play you ran last week with Van Jefferson, see if you could break the safety. But
I mean,
again, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Seattle's been kind of decent in the red zone, which doesn't really make sense. And, probably because of their size up front. But they do a decent job of limiting those explosive plays. So you kind of you get Sonny out there and he's getting it second and third and manageable. And you kind of hit him with the OG Sean McVay, Jared Goff offense, where it's just kind of short pass plays. And then you can kind of really just kind of tear them apart and just kind of squeakily make your way downfield. And I think controlling clock will be something don't let Russ just cook as much as he can, because I think that would be the time. And then maybe after you start developing that, then you get the 75-yard shot,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to be extremely conventional on defense. I think that's their identity. I think they're going to run a base 4-3 with the 2 high shell, and they'll try and take away explosives. They've been good against explosive this year. And they're going to try and bait the Rams. And if you can stay patient, and even if the run game isn't there immediately, it will eventually be there. You just have to wear down the defense a bit. So how to beat their defense? They're the 7th lowest conversion percentage on third down right now. And the Rams are 10th in third down conversion percentage in general. And they're recently trending upwards. We've seen them get themselves in third and manageable. We've seen them better on first and second down to get themselves in a better position for third down. Just have to be able to convert those. But Seattle's been decent in the red zone, as you alluded to, stopping the run. And it's because those interior guys up front. And they also do a really decent job of, if we can take away explosives, and they're forced to beat you in the middle of the field, those low to mid areas of the field, the same way that the Packers beat us. That's kind of how you have to be able to do it. You have to be methodical. You have to take advantage of the multiple mismatches that are going to eventually open up, and then be able to diagnose and take the 75-yard shot. But again, you talked about Sony Michel. Nick, he started off this game, 10 yards per carry? He was averaging in the first half or the first quarter.
I think it was 8. It was around that. It was ridiculous.
Right. I mean, if that doesn't happen right away, though, my fear is that they're going to move away from that. And then you try to go back, you revert back to the explosive play offense.
Yeah, but I think the key is to press it even when it doesn't work.
Yep.
And then definitely maybe even fade away from it after the first half, but then come back to it in the second. I mean, maybe that's too many mind games. I'm sure Sean McVay is, trying to do too much sometimes. But
are you going to have Darrell Henderson healthy in this game?
No, I don't know.
Do you mix him into the rotation? Do you have Cooper Kupp line up in the backfield?
I want Sonny to take all the snaps right now. I don't know why you would drop the hot hand, right?
No, of course not. Of course not. You like Sonny side up. You refuse to call him Sony. He's Sonny to you. I'll take it. He's a
I don't know.
Sunny
I just realized at some point I started calling him Sonny and not Sony.
Yeah, you mix that in quite often.
And I didn't even realize it. And then you said that, and I was like, oh, wow.
Sonny just rolls off the tongue better for you.
Yeah, he's my favorite character in Mario Golf on Nintendo 64.
Yeah, everybody knows who that is, of course.
Yeah. Can we flash a picture of him on the screen?
I don't have a picture of him.
You have a sunny day picture ready?
No,
that's all right.
I could potentially pull one. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe when I do my picks, you can pull one up.
Yeah, sure. Before we do your picks, though, I want to throw this question at you. I think there's a lot of talk about how the offensive line operates in Seattle. The head coach, the ability to add defense. Get back to the Legion of Boom. If they can't do that soon, it feels like Russell Wilson could potentially be out of Seattle. So I'll throw the question to you: is Russell Wilson a Seattle Seahawk next year?
I think it's a great question because I think it is based on how the last couple of years have went and the mobility, figuratively, of these quarterbacks and the teams of them just like hopping around. I do think he's going to be on another team. I think him and Rodgers are both leaving. It's going to be nuts, and I hope everybody goes to the AFC because if you look at the AFC versus the NFC, these guys are two reasons why the NFC is like much harder, but it's the wild West out there. Like anybody can take the crown. Like Chiefs, sure, Pats, I guess, but like a sneaky Bengals team or like a hot Colts team, you're telling me they can't make it all the way? Like absolutely not. Like I don't see like Washington over here being able to do that, or like Atlanta, like one of the teams that squeaks in the playoffs this year in the NFC. Like they're not going to beat the juggernaut that is the Bucs or the flipping Packers. So my money would be on Russ going to Miami.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, Russ in Miami, and then maybe Rodgers in Denver. Or
Denver, huh? Rodgers in Denver, he may be able to pick his own head coach if Vic Fangio doesn't make it till next year. That could be interesting too. Back. No, Mike McCarthy's not coming back.
No, I know.
I would love to see Rodgers in free agent territory trying to figure out who he wants his head coach to be and the drama that would swirl around that. After he loses in the divisional round to the Rams, of course.
LaFleur just quits.
No, I'm saying if Rodgers goes.
No. I'm saying LaFleur quits and he just goes with them to Denver.
I wouldn't be surprised. Although Matt LaFleur is a good head coach. I originally doubted it, but I think he's a legitimate head coach.
No, he's great. He just doesn't look like your NFL head coach.
I just love how Sean McVay describes him as like the assistant coach that used to piss him off all the time and challenge him, because he has like that face of an annoying friend that would just kind of come up to you and be like, what you said earlier? I don't think that was true. Like someone who's just going to constantly challenge you.
There's somebody in my head that I'm not just going to call out because it would be so mean. Like one of your friends that you lived with in college.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was me.
No,
but that's how it is. I always appreciated Matt LaFleur after I heard that story.
I think there's a little McVay, LaFleur, and me and you.
Yeah, a little bit. Who plays what role?
I would be LaFleur. You would be McVay.
Interesting. Okay, I'll take it. All right, next question. Before we move on to Nick's picks real quick.
Is Russell Wilson the same question. Is DK Metcalf your least favorite player, Dean?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes, because he's not mine.
Yeah, he is.
I loved when he threw a fit in the playoff game last year.
I don't like
it. And then it was a pick six.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Well, that was great. Of course. Yeah. Of course. I remember Darius Williams. That was one of the best pick six on the screen that I've ever seen. But when it comes to DK Metcalf, when I first saw him running track in the combine, catching passes, I was like, this is the next TO. Like I promised myself in my head, I was like, this is the next iteration of Terrell Owens. And when I see him now, I see the earrings and the tattoos and everything that kind of comes along with a player when they're in that next phase, right? When they win, when they're good, when they take the next step. And maybe DK Metcalf is there, right? He's been training to run in the Olympics. I just don't feel like his body of work is where his personality is and his attitude. When they become a really good team, when they take the next step, when he wins a Super Bowl or he's playing deep into the playoffs, all that attitude, all that mentality can come out. But until then, you're not Terrell Owens. You're just still DK Metcalf on a 5-8 Seattle team. So he pisses me off. He definitely pisses me off. I think if he was on my team, he would piss me off too. So I would say the same about Odell Beckham Jr. if he's on a losing team and he's throwing his helmet. So
I've always been a huge Odell guy.
Of course. But, I'm not a big fan of players who are more about themselves than anything else. And, some of these guys, Odell, Ramsey, Von Miller, are all proven to be such veterans and such locker room guys. But I don't feel like he is that guy. So until that changes, that's going to be my stance on DK Metcalf.
I just think you got to respect the talent at the end of the day. I mean, you don't have to like him, but you got to at least respect what he's doing out there.
I respect the talent. I don't think he's at his peak yet. I think that he thinks he's at his peak. We'll see.
No, I just think it's hard when Seattle just was thought to be. I don't know why everybody kind of was in on Seattle all of a sudden. We had like one bad season. Everyone was like, "Oh, Seattle." And then San Francisco goes to the Super Bowl. So, it's just weird that players wanted to go there. I guess it's Russ, but he really hasn't.
No, I get it. I mean, you're kind of selling the dream of, everything that they promised back in 2014, right? Where it's you still have Russ, you still have Pete Carroll. You're still trying to build the foundation around those two guys. And, you're coming into a really cool culture. Gerald Everett talks about how great the culture is all the time and how happy he is in Seattle. And Russell Wilson talks about how he's an athletic freak. Like, the Rams did not appreciate him there. So for whatever reason, I guess there's some form of appreciation with players. I think Pete Carroll loves on his guys and holds them and hugs them and kisses them like they're his own. So that's the way he is. That's how he is as a coach. He's very Vermeil-esque in that regard. Don't get uncomfortable.
No, I'm not uncomfortable at all. There's just we've been shitting on Pete Carroll for the better half of this episode. Still a USC guy at the end of the day,
Still a USC guy, and like I said, he draws comparisons to Dick Vermeil all the time in terms of energy and the way players respond to him. So did win a Super Bowl. Give him that. He's got as many as Vermeil does. Listen, Rams fans, don't kill me for this comparison whatsoever. I think it's Vermeil and then it's Carroll way below. I'm just saying, in terms of personality, enthusiasm. Nick's picks.
You ready for him?
Yeah, I'm ready for him. Let's do it.
All right, everybody. We got a weird week on Nick's picks. A very weird week. We have no idea what to expect from the NFL with all these COVID cases and everything that's going on. I do not feel comfortable in my own skin anymore. Sometimes.
No, why not?
I threw that in there to see how you would react. We haven't really done Nick's picks in quite some time, and I think it's time we need to sit down and have the conversation of: is there a problem with Nick's picks? Are they not succeeding expectations? Are they lower than they should be? We haven't had a winning week in quite some time. Dean, we need your lock more than ever.
You need my lock?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the Lions to cover the spread.
See, the Lions is one of my picks. Money line.
Of course. No, that's not my pick.
Lions plus 12.5 is not your pick?
No, that's not. Well, actually, you know what? I mean, it started off 14 points. It's down to 12.5. So the Lions can cover it. If anybody can cover it, it's the Lions. I think they're actually good against the spread.
They are good against the spread. And they're also Jared Goff's record against Arizona is amazing. And I know he's not on the Rams anymore, but he's had this team's number for quite some time.
I'm going to take the other side of this bet because I think the entire world, and this is going to be my lock, I think the entire world's going to be like, Jacksonville just fired their head coach. Urban Meyer was the worst person ever. Trevor Lawrence is going to rally the team. They got some interim head coach coming in. They're 5-point favorites to Houston. I think that game's in Jacksonville. Yep, I like Houston to win the game.
Yep, that's one of my picks too.
You get Houston plus 180 because public money is going to be pouring on Jacksonville. So why not go
it's actually right now it's actually more on Houston, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah.
What do I know?
The teams usually do well after they fire a head coach. It's like an us game.
Yeah, sure.
But like, why? What? the Jaguars are horrible. They lost to the Texans.
The Raiders had a game earlier this year when they fired Gruden, and I think they put up like 35 points on Thursday Night Football or Monday Night Football or something like that. So it's very real.
Well, last year when Patricia got fired, the Lions had a huge win against the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 years ago when Jeff Fisher got fired, the Rams went on to be a good team.
I don't think Fossil got any wins as a head coach.
No, I'm saying like it eventually led to McVay.
Right. I don't think the Rams won that game, which I'm just saying.
No, I don't. You know what? I think we were actually in Punta Cana together and they played the 49ers and they got their ass kicked.
Yeah.
That was Fossil's first game after Fisher.
And I think he lost out. But anyway, yeah. But let's get into my picks. My first pick, Cincinnati Bengals at Denver Broncos. Who do you think is the favorite in this game? It's at
the Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos -3.
Because I looked.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's so concerned about Broncos -3. They're at home.
You think the Broncos cover that?
No, I don't get it.
I am all in on the Cincinnati Bengals this week. All in. I'm going to this game. So I'm going to be there.
Sweet.
Never been a mile high. I'm excited to go. Bengals are coming off 2 really, really tough losses. They came all the way back in that Chargers game only to lose from a horrible fumble. And then they lose like the last second against San Francisco, a game they should have been up on the entire time. I think they are a better team. I think they are a playoff team. The Broncos are the Falcons of the AFC. How do they have 6 wins? Broncos, I think, have 7. I don't think they're like a necessarily good team outside of their defense. And, they gave away Von Miller. I think if you really wanted to compete, you would not be giving away one of your best players. So I'm going to go Bengals money line, submit that like as fast as you can.
I'm on board with that too. Anytime you see the better team that's a dog, you put money on it.
Yeah, I agree. So speaking of better teams that are dogs, the Falcons over the Niners. No, I'm just kidding. 9 is a lot of points to give Matt Ryan, though. Even though it's in San Francisco, the Niners have not played well in this.
The cover is a way different story because San Francisco plays a lot of tight games.
Yeah, I like Matt Ryan in a 2-minute drill down 10 to score 7, cover, and then try the onside kick, and then the Falcons inevitably don't get it. But there's nobody else you want other than Matt Ryan in a 2-minute drill when he's already down a bunch of points just to help you guys out. A 9 is way too many to give San Francisco. They came off a really hot win that they really shouldn't have been in the first place. The only reason they were in it was because of 2 block punts. Falcons +9 is a pick, and I know I traditionally do an over and under as well, but I'm going to do another money line because I think they can squeak it out. I'm doing Falcons money line on top of Falcons +9. So if one doesn't hit, you got the backup to kind of cancel it out.
So you can't go same game parlay in my bookie and do that, I don't think.
That's okay.
That's okay?
Yeah, you're not. These are all straight up bets. Okay. And then we have, once again, too many points. New York Jets at Miami Dolphins. Jets are getting 9.5.
What's the over-under in that game?
Over-under is 41.
Take the under. That game is going to be pitiful.
Under in divisional games usually are good this time of year, but the last 4 have all gone over.
Yeah, good time to take the under.
Nah. So let me just get into this first. I think the Jets are – nobody wants to give them any credit. I actually think Zach Wilson is somewhat developing. He's way more than Trevor Lawrence is out here getting a pass because he's on a horrible franchise. There are no expectations, and he's stuck in Jacksonville in the worst division of football. People are like, "Oh, this year doesn't matter." Zach Wilson's actually putting up way better numbers. He's learning a completely new system. I don't love him, but you put him up against the Tua. Tua turned the ball over. And I love the Dolphins. I think they are going to win out. I really think they are fantastic. I think they can still make the playoffs, which is amazing. Would love to see them in there. And I think they will win this game because they're the better team. But I do love a dogfight here. And I think Zach Wilson is capable of getting, a couple points. So I'm taking, and I have a rule, never bet on the Jets. It's one of my rules. But I'm taking Jets plus 9.5. I'm breaking the rules. We're breaking rules on Nick's picks this week.
So what happens if Tua turns the ball over a couple times early on and the Jets take a big lead? You're going to be sitting pretty.
Yeah, I'm not going to be feeling bad. I'll tell you that.
Please tell me you made up that nickname.
No, I wish. I wish.
Damn it, Nick.
Oh, it got you to laugh either way. So, all right. And then my quick pick, Lions money line.
No,
Lions money line.
Go with the Rams as your quick pick.
No, Lions money line plus 460. Let's run it back. Goff over the freaking Cardinals. He's gonna get another win. That's scrappy Goff, and then he's gonna go to Pittsburgh and win a Super Bowl.
Jeez, you on something tonight.
Hey, it's been a while since we've done a proper Knicks picks. I'm happy that we're back in it. Honestly,
on to something. Who knows? You're always walking that fine line.
Yeah. Your takes are horrible. They're all for clickbait, but gosh darn it, are you entertaining? I love it. I love it, guys. I love the fans.
You are.
I love all of our fans. Yeah, so let's run it back. We got Bengals plus 135 money line. We're taking Falcons plus 9 and the money line. And then we're also going to do New York Jets plus 9.5. Maybe wait. My guess is the line moves to 10. So I would say hold off on that one. Put the other ones in right away. And then Lions money line. So we have 3. We're going with 3 underdog money lines. One of them is plus 320. One of them is plus 460. All lines are provided by MyBookie. You go to mybookie.ag. Use promo code LAFB. Double your first deposit. Thank me later. And our new sponsor, TickPick.com/Rams Brothers. If you're going to any of these games like I am, I'm going to the Broncos-Bengals game this week in Mile High. First time I'm ever going. Why don't you go use TickPicks? I did. You get your tickets fast and secure. We actually, on another website, it's a true story. We got our tickets first, and they were plagiarized. So we had to get our money back and get a whole new set of tickets. And then this beautiful sponsor came into our lives, TickPick, and I used it. And I typed in Rams Bros, which is kind of cool. And yeah, no fees, no issues. You're not, you're helping us out and you're helping yourself out. Knicks picks are back, and we're gonna win them all this week. We're gonna be Warriors. Better than Stafford.
If you go undefeated on underdog picks,
I don't actually think Goff is better than Stafford. For the record, by the way, guys, it's just it's a funny. It's a callback to the tweets.
Correct.
If you listen to my podcast, then you know I don't think some of those things.
God forbid somebody doing a podcast ask somebody to listen to their podcast.
Oh God, self-promotion.
What a foreign concept.
I love the people who critique that don't listen. It's like what? How?
Well, the funny thing is, like, will this soundbite ever emerge on Twitter? We won't know unless they listen.
Right. It's just. It's comical. It's in a lot of ways.
It's all fun. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, the only thing that matters is the Rams winning, and that everybody has a nice, healthy, happy holiday.
That's true. Are we gonna get one more in?
That's it. Yeah.
Are we gonna get another one in after the game, before Christmas?
Absolutely. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on.
All right, quick 30-minute epi. Get the King K. Rool music out. I got it packed because I'm going to Denver, and I got to shower. So I got to do a lot of stuff right now. So let's get out of here.
Okay, sounds good. I'm guaranteeing a Rams win, no matter what happens with COVID Tuesday night.
They're not in my picks.
Yeah, you're crazy. They're in mine. They're all over mine. I think they win by 10.
Good for you.
Yep, cover the spread, win, and we'll be good.
All right. Peace out, Rams fans. Thanks for listening. Let's get a W.
Hang in there, guys. Have a good weekend.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Even though it passed. Yeah,
cue that music, man.
It's definitely playing already. Cheers.
Cheers.